Belief in an external God works because this is a holographic reality. That's how the simulation works. Reality responds to what you believe. Your Diánoia, your deep mind, your imagination, or Ephesians 1:18, where it says the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. Understanding is actually Diánoia, which means deep mind imagination. This is why prayer, intention setting, the law of attraction, this is how it works, the law of assumption. So when people say just trust in God, they don't realize it's just a manifestation technique. Letting go. Law of detachment. Right method, wrong explanation. Wrong to limit it all to here and take it so literally, especially if you come from a fundamental background. Back to Ephesians 1:18. I was told a long time ago by fundamentalists that heart and mind were the same thing and that I shouldn't question any of this because King James translators were so much smarter than me. Be afraid. Be afraid to question anything. The trap of knowledge, that's where they get you. They don't want you going in here. They want you going out there because that's where they control you. That's where the matrix is. But here's the thing, as above, so below. Instead of you being guided by your inner knowing, your mind, they want you to turn off your mind. They want you to give your mind all your energy to them and they don't even realize it. You know, the people who always told me this was the right, correct thing and told me not to question it were some of the meanest people I've ever known. And doesn't the Bible say you'll know them by their fruit? That's not the kind of fruit I want. That's the kind of fruit I'm going to take to the compost pile. And it's still good for something, compost, but I'm not going to eat it. It's not how Jesus would have told you to behave. Here's the law of one, where they never make fun of anybody's religion. In fact, they say don't do that, just like Jesus said. If they're not going to hear you, just dust off your feet and move on. He didn't say argue with people. You see Jesus getting mad, flips over the tables and the money changers in the temple, and there's a whole deep dive there. The eyes of your understanding. Like a lot of other Bible versions say things like, may your heart be enlightened, things like that. The Coptic Bible kind of goes in a little deeper, but even a lot of those people will tell you heart and mind are the same thing. I used to ask this all the time. Fundamental Baptists. I used to say, you know, if heart and mind are the same thing, why are they mentioned separately so many times, like in Psalms? Proverbs, all through there. Heart and mind are separate. Why would they go to the trouble of making them separate? For you, extremely mean man in a suit who really just wants to manipulate and control everything around him, why are you telling me it's the same thing? It's not the same. If you want to unplug, like Truman at the end of the Truman Show, I'm sorry if I just spoiled a movie for you, or like Neo in the Matrix, but Truman's a great example. He wakes up, he slowly wakes up, starts to see behind the veil, starts to see that what he thought was reality was actually a simulation. And that caused just a little bit of doubt. They don't want you to have any doubt at all. They don't want you to go with them. They don't want you to think for yourself. He starts thinking for himself. Suddenly he's out of it. They're afraid you're going to exit it. If you want to exit this matrix, this Truman Show, this simulation, another way to look at it is the holodeck on the Starship Enterprise. A holographic universe, it operates the same way as a holodeck. Your mind is a projector. Collectively, our minds project this. You unplug by using that imagination. May the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. It shouldn't have been reduced down to understanding. There were so many other words there. Imagination. They didn't want you using your imagination, even though there's so many verses about using your imagination. That knowledge was hidden. Secret societies know this. That knowledge was hidden. Fundamentalists especially just take this so literally and use it to beat people over the head, which is exactly not what Jesus told you to do. I suggest the law of one. Buddhism, which doesn't even go against Jesus. A lot of people think Buddhism is evil because you've never even looked into what Buddhism is. And I remember years ago when The Secret came out. I remember I was going to churches where they said, I'm not going to read that. All I know is it's evil and I don't need to know about it. You didn't even look at it. It's about the power of your mind. I still don't really know what The Secret says, but I'm going to tell you what happened. I had a supernatural experience where I came to Jesus. A lot of us did. And I fell into a trap of knowledge, just limiting it all to this because I was searching for answers. Searching for answers like a lot of us. And now we finally have social media where we can share information. And I was told immediately that the Gnostics were wrong. Inner knowing. I was told that immediately. I was told it was evil, that King Solomon, who was the smartest man, the wisest man alive, he fell away because of some evil women. That's what the fundamentalists said. Some evil women. It's always the woman's fault. Got carried away. I'm just going to say this was handed down. This is The Magical Books of Solomon by Aleister Crowley. And a lot of mysticists, like there's Jewish mysticism, a lot of roots for this, people who think that King Solomon had demons under his control. A lot of that lines up with the Bible as well. And I didn't even start looking into it till a few months ago. There are fallen angels mentioned in there, but they trick you, make you too scared to go within, too scared to look up any of this. You need to start focused meditation and visualization. It has completely changed my life. Start by just imagining a bright light from outside space. Divine light connecting you to the earth's energy grid of unconditional love. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's what Jesus was trying to tell you. You live in a simulation, but connect to the energy grid of unconditional love. That's how you make things happen, by realizing it's a simulation. By realizing you can step out of this energy grid at any time. Jesus was a living parable. I believe he existed at least once, and that he is also a kundalini awakening, an awakening of your pineal gland, so that you see beyond, so that you remember this is a simulation. The only way to connect with that and to get more answers is to go within, to meditate, to get quiet, to get rid of all distractions. Theta wave music, Gregorian chants work, also visualization techniques. It can be as simple or as complex as you want. It can be as complex as like imagining a full story, which is how I've accidentally manifested things. That's how I know this works. I had some things happen that were not coincidences. If you can get yourself into like a scene, like, you know, like if you're writing fiction and suddenly the characters just start doing stuff, like your mind just starts going, it's hard to explain. You can do it that way because what it does is it works in all the five senses plus two others, proprioception and vestibular. That's where the character's getting up and walking around like a whole avatar. It's like, instead of the avatar you were given at birth, you are imagining something in a different avatar. Okay, that's actually a secret society technique as well. Another way you can do it is just simple imagination, which I've done here. I've been using it on you since you were little. Just like cartoon images. That's why things like writing in a notebook 2 circles, like my limiting beliefs, and then crossing through them. You know what? It makes your subconscious brain think that you've actually gotten rid of those limiting beliefs because you saw it. In simplest form, faith like a child, mustard seed of faith. Faith like a child. Imagine. You need to have focused visualization and meditation sessions, like imagining sessions. People who are fundamentalists will tell you it's wrong. Imagination, image, magic, magi. But that's how it works. That's how your brain works. And that's how, like, some of the things happening around the world may be happening because they told you to visualize it. And they have all kinds of preachers and people trying to bring it into existence, and people thinking it's all out here. There's one creator I saw one day. I just blocked him. I block hate speech of any form. And it was this guy saying, can you believe what the New Age people are calling the rapture? They're calling it the ascension. And he was laughing and all this. That's not what Jesus told you to do, was it? But you know what? I used to be just like him. I used to do that. No, you never mock anyone's faith, their religion. Because you know what? It might work for you. Belief in God, belief in this might work it does work for some people because it teaches them the law of detachment. So don't make fun of anybody's faith. It's not your place. And remember that if you're making fun of Gnosticism, if you're saying, you know, it's evil and wrong, a lot of stuff was hidden from you and you've been afraid to question it because of all the codes in here. But yes, it was obviously written supernaturally. Every single book on this planet was written supernaturally. There's codes in all of them. Codes and words. Words are magic, whether you want them to be or not. To unplug from this matrix, start getting better with your words. Stop speaking evil against yourself. That's all through the Bible too. And people still go around saying the worst things because they think, well, I'm saved as long as I'm, the gospel. All you got to do is change your subconscious beliefs and realize that your mind is a magnet and that you've been drawing all this in all this time, Neo, Truman. And whatever it takes to trick you into believing it, like all kinds of religions, there's still, even though there might be some bad stuff, as long as they're telling you what to do with your mind, and this is definitely telling you what to do with your mind. This is saying, may the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. Teach what you understand, and what you understand, what we teach you, and don't you dare look beyond this. The fear of God. Don't you look into what that means in the Old Testament. You just be afraid. Even though the Bible goes on to say, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. Go ahead and just misinterpret the Old Testament. It's really sad, and I used to be there too. Please look within. Please start meditating. It's like if you haven't, You haven't unplugged. It's like you don't realize that you're like a tree just getting tossed by the wind. You are being tossed back and forth by this simulation, by the energies here. You have never grounded your energy by meditating, by really connecting, because you have not examined the roots of your tree. It's like a tree that the roots are going bad and you don't even know it because you're afraid to look down there. You've only ever looked up here, and you've been manipulated by it. You've just been reacting your whole life. They've been manipulating you. You need to go within. The pineal gland and pituitary gland are the two witnesses. Crazy theory. Are the two witnesses in Revelation. People say hateful things to me about that too. There's a whole bunch of slurs about that out there. That's not what Jesus told you to do. That's not how Jesus told you to behave. True Christ consciousness is what we saw Jesus do on the cross. Because this crazy simulation works on unconditional love. It's like a living library. And the reason talking to God, calling God an outside source, calling Jesus, the reason it works, to personify, the reason I said Jesus is a living parable, when you personify things, you start talking to things like, there's someone I see on TikTok who has a video where they're saying, give the algorithm a name and start talking to the algorithm if you want their videos to go out. I don't do that, but it would work. It's some kind of magic in it, yes. Just like the same magic of calling the power that was always inside you. The frequency of unconditional love, calling it God or Jesus. God is a frequency. May the eyes of your understanding be enlightened. May the eyes of your heart be enlightened, flooded with light. May your pineal gland be flooded with light.